Hello, good evening. It's Friday the 13th.
It is Friday the 13th. Are you superstitious?
I was born on the 13th.
You were.
I was born in the dark.
On the dog.
It's been a long time
Kyle
since
was
we
born
did
on the
this.
13th.
Yes, he was. He was not born on Friday the 13th. I'd have to look up in the calendar. I do not think I was either.
Yeah.
So it's been a while.
It's been a month.
Yeah, we find that
Over
hard
a
to
month.
believe, but
Trying to cross my legs here.
I can't cross my legs at all, so you're doing better than I. So,
Okay. So, what have you learned? I'll let you have the floor for a little bit.
well, we've had quite an interesting month. I finished my 75 hard, and I'm going to start another one on Monday. I guess I finished it, about a week ago?
Yeah.
Week and a half ago. And it was really good for my self-discipline, and I am going to do it again because I need to continue in my self-care and my self-discipline, and that's one of the things that if those of you that have been following what we're trying to do, we're trying to individualize, and those of you that don't know, I got off the road on May 12th, and that is a new life, to say the least, for Amelia and I. We've had a lot of epiphanies around that. Part of my hope was that when I got off the road, everything would just be, what's the phrase? Rainbows and unicorns. And it's become apparent that the rainbows and unicorns are eluding us at the moment.
They're there.
It's
we
a
just
total-
have to let them out.
Yeah, it's a total different life that she and I have never experienced, and I don't think either one of us was prepared mentally for the change. I knew I was ready for the change, but I didn't know the extent of which all of the little nuances around it, what they really were and are and continue to be. And so that's we're learning. We've been doing a lot of self work, and I did a lot of listening to, and Amelia has as well, with Christina Lopes. Is that her name? It is.
Yeah.
Christina. Around.
We haven't done so much reading.
No, we haven't done that much
this
reading.
last month.
I finished reading the Ruiz Ashamara book. The difficulty I have in that book is I want to segue right to the part where they talk about having joy and pleasure in the sexual realm, and that's not where we're at yet. So that all that does is give me false hope. So I'm I'm backing off of that book at the moment. There's a lot of good information in there, but it's not pertinent for us at the moment. That's the bottom line. And so anyway, Christina Lopes, she does a lot of YouTube videos, and
Let me turn that music down just
what we have, my voice is still not quite right because of the three amigos that were only two amigos from Texas that came up and played a concert last Saturday. And
There were three.
Well,
He
yeah,
just wasn't
that's
one of
true.
the originals.
Not one of the originals. Dusty died, and I'm talking about ZZ Top. Anyway, so my voice is still not quite right. So it's probably good that we turn it down a little bit because I don't think I'm projecting as well as I usually do. So Christina Lopes, back to my circle back. I hate that way that woman says that, but anyway, to circle back. This is me saying it, not her. Christina Lopes has a lot of really good information about healing childhood trauma. And Amelia and I were just talking a little bit ago that I've kind of been in I call it a zombie mode. What does she refer to it as? Dissociation.
Dissociation.
Yeah, dissociation. So when you're a little kid and you go through trauma that you cannot process as a little kid, you just totally dissociate with it, from it. And it's a self-protection mechanism. And I've been doing that apparently a long time in my entire life. And running the road was something that I managed to, in the real world, just dissociate from the fact that I knew Amelia was not open to me. I have I guess in the words of Christina Lopes, I'm a sensitive person. That's
An
how
empath. We're both empaths.
Yeah,
We're
and
both,
so I've known for a long, long time that Amelia didn't like men. And I understand why, but I'm a man, and so it was always, I guess the easy way to get around that was to leave on a regular basis, and then we didn't have to face it.
And we could both go into that fantasy mode. The make-believe mode.
Yeah, when I was separated, on the road, I could imagine that Amelia's sitting there at home and waiting with bated breath for me to walk through the door with big hugs and kisses, which of course when I got home that never happened anyway, but that was always something that I was able to kind of perpetuate. And so now I'm in the real world. I've taken my trauma glasses off. But what Christina Lopes talks about with the dissociation, and that's without an A, D-I-S-S-O, dissociation, C-I-A-T-I-O-N. So she references that's the only way a little kid can deal with being in harm's way. And when I was little and my mother was being physically abused, beaten, whatever you want to call it, by my father, there was a lot of fear there. I truly wonder, I don't know how cognizant I was at the time, because I was probably, they got divorced when I was 7 or 8, I think, 7. So I was young. But I'm sure that the way my mother would be screaming, I would probably think that my mother was going to be killed any minute, and not really knowing. And so, of course, I dissociated from that, and Amelia's story is totally gruesome and ridiculous, and I've always focused more on her story and kind of downplayed mine, and come to realize that mine really is a pretty substantial trauma. We had substantial trauma. I did. I say we because I have 3 sisters that did experience the same thing. So anyway, the cool thing is we're starting to, I'm gonna let Amelia go from here, because what her epiphany was, and not necessarily an epiphany, but her ability to put into action some of what Christina talks about the other day, was rather cool, and gives us hope. It's always nice to have hope, right? So I'll let you take it from there for a bit, love. I've been talking for almost 9 minutes and I haven't said much of anything.
That's not true. So several things. I think we're in a place now where I have clarity around reparenting my child, my inner child. The conditioning that I went through. Not just the sexual abuse, but society, TV, there is a lot of conditioning that is not healthy, that was not healthy. And so I'm really focused now on connecting with my inner child. And this is part of a book that I'm writing in my head, is growing up that inner child. to have all your parts be the age that you are. I'm 57. Growing up those parts. And I think he and I both agree that we're not going to take forever to do this work. I don't want to take forever to do this work. And that was another shift in the last month, that I'm, instead of taking a passive position on feelings and just kind of, oh, what's it going to feel like today, or what am I feeling today, or I'm trying to shift that into a more active position of, I am going to be happy today. I am going to find joy in my day. Instead of my day happening to me, I'm starting to construct my day. That's a huge shift. The dissociation piece, I really, maybe just 4 days ago, maybe 5 days ago, having a conversation with him, I went from having my trauma glasses on and coming from that conditioning and coming from that trauma piece of men are pigs. That's a big message I came out of my childhood with. And the other one was stupid girl. Those are my two biggies. Those are the narratives that I've lived my life from. So he could say to me, oh, you look very nice today. And I would, in my head, be like, yeah, you just want something. Do you want to go tell the child that's banging on the window?
What?
That's Tristan. He doesn't have his key.
Oh, good Lord.
So he's going to be in the, no, he's going to be in the video. And I'm not going to pause it. We're just going to continue on. But Tristan doesn't have his key, so he takes a board and he knocks on the window. So I was very aware and very cognizant of, he had sent something to me, and I knew I was coming from that old patterning, that old theory, that old narrative, those old stories, the old conditioning, that he's not really interested in me. He doesn't really think I'm pretty. He's just saying that because he, wants to have sex with me later. That's really where I've lived my life from. And so it's going into this other side of my life where I am actually looking at him for who he is, having compassion, having love and caring, and seeing him for who he is. Yeah, I see you found
I found two stragglers.
You guys will just have to be patient until we get done, because we're 13 minutes in.
How long do you usually get video?
Like 25.
That's a long time. We'll go get fuel and then come back.
Oh,
Okay.
That'll work.
And make sure you leave the door unlocked.
Yeah, we will.
Okay.
We won't use the stick this time.
Okay.
So there's life showing up, and family. But yeah, big changes. I talked to Katerina and our daughter, and we really, I'm not going to say that we're going to do this once a week, but our intention is to do this more often, because there's so much that's happening, and we're commanding that to be, because we don't want to take 2 years. Well, I don't want to take 2 years to sort through everything and make those changes and make those shifts. So what's been happening since I had that experience 5 days ago,
With the toothbrush?
well, that's part of it. I could use that as an example.
That was the example I could think of, but I wasn't. But go ahead.
I'm noticing that I'm very aware of the trauma piece. and the filters that I've been living my life through. I've lived in absolute fear of a lot of things. Just relationships in general. I had female and male abusers, and I'm realizing how traumatic and how that all really has been, and it's been an undercurrent. I learned from Joe Dispenza, I know I've mentioned this in one of the other videos, that there is that undercurrent of stress. And so if you've suffered trauma, you really need to have those self-care pieces in place, especially meditation. And if you've not been able to get into a meditation practice, I invite you to just do it. Just keep doing it and working with it, because what that does is, on a neurological level, it interrupts that unseen pattern of stress. And so that really goes a long way for the healing to happen, and for the neurobiology of the brain to shift gears and shift out of the trauma and into a place of compassion. So we're both still doing that individuation piece, and I suggested to him maybe he needs to take his doll. We both in therapies in the past have had dolls. His is named Buddy, mine is named Amy, and they represent our inner child. And it was a really good tool for me years ago, because it's something that's outside of myself. I can pick her up. She's like, she's about like that. She's a doll. Like, she is like baby size, bigger than like newborn baby size. So I can take her with me. I can sit her on the bed. I can have a conversation with her. That's part of Christina Lopez's
recovery, or
exercises to heal from the trauma. She has a really good video. I don't remember which one it was, because I've watched so many of them here this week. But she goes through the 8 symptoms of dissociation.
I think that one was something about dissociation.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was in the title or not.
I think it was. But
I, in some way, shape, or forms, still suffer with all 8 of them. And I realized that my children are, and I don't speak for them, but I can see patterns of behavior, and they suffer with some of them. And in my healing, I've got a chat group in Facebook that has me and my 5 kids. And I'm trying to help them understand that Roger and I were parenting them out of this place of dissociation. We were not present. We don't remember. I don't remember things that went on. The kids are like, oh yeah, you remember when I ran away from home and I blah blah, and I'm like, no, I don't remember that. And now I have a understanding of what was happening. One of the things that Christina talks about is, as a child, when you go through a trauma, like, say I went through trauma at 2. I don't know where my most severe trauma was. I was raped when I was 8 by my best friend's dad, who lived right across the street from our house. That inner child gets stuck at that point, and the rest of you go on. And it's funny, because I just had this question last week about my life, and how did I go on to run a house, and how did he go on to, he's always had a job. He's never been one of those people that sits on the couch and says, oh, well, I can't get a job. He's always taken care of his kids and me. And so I was like, how did I go on to have a family and to pay bills and to have a life? And she explains it in that video, what happens. And basically that inner child just goes, away, just is, put away. And we live in this place of not really being in our lives. We don't feel things. We don't remember things. It's just a different place to, and I try to reiterate to my kids that, this is how you were parented. And that's why a lot of the time when they were younger, middle school, high school, they were like, okay, we're parenting our parents. And that was true. I've always kind of said that my 12-year-old was the one that was parenting my 5 kids, which on some aspects is fun for the kids because they're like, oh yeah, mom's like, like our age. But as an adult who needs to be responsible for the children, that's not a good thing. So I think those were the big ones out of the last month that we're working with. So it's interesting because it's like a constant shifting, a constant awareness. When he'll say something, it's like, okay, the old patterning comes up, and then it's like, mentally shift to the new pattern, to the new conditioning. What is healthy conditioning? And so we're working through that each day, and that's a all day, every day process. So, and you had talked the other day, you might want to speak to that part of taking a break from all of it, because it does get overwhelming.
Interesting. My brain just took a break.
So he was saying the other day
Apparently he was saying the other day
that it's all too much, and we've gone through that several times here in the last first part of this year, is that it gets to be overwhelming and too much. And so scheduling time and taking breaks from the processing and from the learning and from the videos and all of that is an totally okay thing. And rest, and when you feel like it, then come back to it.
Yes, I recall saying that. Yeah, because it is hard work that you got to wear the boots for.
Yep.
So
Is that it for now?
I feel relatively complete.
Okay. We'll
So
give more updates as they
yes, we will try to do this again
soon.
within 7 days.
I'm not promising anything.
That was 12.
Tristan's throwing popcorn at us.
We're getting popcorn thrown at us from the
Peanut gallery.
peanut gallery. Yeah.
Gallery.
From the
From the
popcorn
popcorn
gallery.
Mhm.
Yes.
All right.
All right. We will
We're
see
out.
you soon. Bye.
Bye.